Good afternoon and welcome to our show Outline. Muscat recorded the highest number of new COVID-19 cases on Monday, according to data from the government. The Tarassud app, which is operated by the Ministry of Health and provides regular updates on the COVID situation in Oman, shows that of the 600 new cases reported in Muscat on Monday, June 1st, 200 were from Boshar. Matra was a close second with 197 cases, and the Vilayat of Sib came in third with 172 cases. 21 cases were reported in Al Amirat, 11 in Muscat, and 7 cases were reported in Kuriyat. Muscat still continues to have about 3/4 of COVID-19 cases in Oman, with 9,256 out of 12,223 cases, or 75.72% as of yesterday. The Gulf Cooperation countries will see a large number of expats returning home, according to a recent report. Low oil prices, declining revenues, and lower rates of financial surpluses are trends that may reflect negatively on job opportunities and new projects in the Gulf, the report said. This could lead to a wave of layoffs for workers and employees and increase the departure of expatriates, further encouraging the specialization of jobs for Gulf nationals at the expense of more than 2 million foreign workers, the report added. A statement issued online by the Oman news agency said, a new study issued by the Gulf Council for Studies and Research based in Kuwait confirmed that the GCC and Arab states may see thousands of expats workers going back home because of deepening global economic recession and a slow recovery and stability of the oil prices below $40 until the end of 2022. The ability of Gulf governments to absorb the effects of the decline in sharp revenues from oil, gas, tourism, and investment may be affected unevenly despite its financial viability in the medium term, the report said. Repatriation flights to Pakistan continued as 2 special flights to the city of Lahore departed on Monday, June 1st, 2020. According to the officials at the Embassy of Pakistan, the flight was arranged by the Pakistan International Airline that carried 286 passengers altogether. PIA's special flight departed from the Muscat International Airport for Lahore carrying 142 passengers. Later the same evening, another flight departed Muscat for Lahore carrying 144 passengers, officials at the embassy said. Passengers were seen off by KK Ahsan Wagan, ambassador of Pakistan to Oman, as well as the Pakistani embassy representatives. In addition to that, we have a very interesting panel of guests joining us for our today's show, which we are going to talk about reopening workplaces and their safety. We have got Muhammad Faisal Nawaz, Head of Marketing Automotive, Mohsin Haider Darwish LLC, P. Chandrasekhar, Group General Manager, Jawad Sultan Group LLC, and Mr. Ali Al-Barwani, Health and Safety Professional. Thank you and welcome you all to the show.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
It's a pleasure having been in this August forum this afternoon.
It is always a pleasure to have you all on our show. I'll start with you, Mr. Chandrasekhar. What are the various measures your companies have taken to ensure the safety and well-being of their employees now that they are back?
Madiha, actually, this is a very difficult situation in which we are talking about, because most companies, I'm particularly talking about the private sector, I would say, in the sense they have never been exposed to this side of extraordinary situation. So hence, this has been a very novel one, and many of them are learning and then growing, learning and then trying to sort of implement. Hence, from our point of view, it was a very challenging situation in terms of bringing new things into the picture. And as far as our company is concerned, we have initiated a lot of centralized checkpoints for people when they are walking into the premises of our office. And we are also trying to bring in some basic protection gear for our staff who are allowing any visitors, and including our own staff members when they are coming to the workplaces. And more importantly, we are not crowding the office with all the staff members in one go. So we are trying to keep some sort of a roster. We are monitoring and trying to take all these, 3 or 4 type of conservative, collaborative steps, which enables us to sort of ensure that we are maintaining the safety of the people our inhabitants in the building at all times.
Mr. Muhammad Faisal, would you like to add something to this question?
Similar to all the private organizations who have just opened, especially in the automotive now, the showrooms are also open. Earlier, the phase 1 was to open the workshops and the service centers. Now the showroom is also open. So when we started with the workshops and all the after sales services, we took the measures of getting not more of the customers by getting them the appointment, putting the measure whenever the customer is entering into the showroom or the after sales service facility, the temperature should be checked, gloves, mask should be there, minimum conversation with them within the vicinity. Mostly it was more remote, by taking the appointments, by knowing what is exactly happening with their car or what services they do require from us in terms of repairing their cars, was done through telephonic conversations. The receiving was done when with all the protective gear for the art technicians. We and then for us was more majorly important was the customer should be given a totally complete sanitized car. So that was the trust level should be built. We started with the touch points, explaining the customers what all we are doing in the cleaning of their cars after doing the service, because it's important our employee should be also protected. So they were given the protective kits, overalls, gloves, sanitizing wear. So when they are touching the car, they are sanitizing the touch points. So this was the protective measures we have taken. Yes, it took little time to make everybody understand why we are doing it, why it is important. And we have almost every day before we start the day, this conversation is done with all the employees, all these technicians, all the sales staff, that these are the measures we have to take care of it. And whenever our customers are coming in, we have highlighted within the showroom before entering that the masks are important. All the icons are being put on display. When they enter, the temperature is being taken. If they are not wearing the mask, we make sure they wear the mask. We give them the mask. We give them the gloves. We look into our security or the person who is concerned sitting there looking at it. How crowded is the showroom? Should we let in the customer or not? So that all is being taken care of, but it takes little time and it takes little effort to keep highlighting it to the staff, to the employees, and to concerned people who are meeting the customers. We cannot say no to the customer to come to the showrooms as we just opened, but then again, maintaining the distances, social distancing, is important, and that is what we are trying to do within our showrooms.
Talking
So
about all
yeah,
the measures, sorry, you were saying something?
these are the measures what we are taking, and we are also looking how can we go better with it. So customer trust is built on when they are coming to the showroom.
Right, thank you, Mr. Mohammed. Talking about the measures and all the safety precautions that you have taken at the showroom, how difficult or challenging was it to keep all these measures in place?
See, as I said, we in terms of when we started with the after sales, the SOPs were developed. That what all we require, and to enhance that, well, first of all, the people who are coming in, they were not using the mask and all. So we started educating our customers that when it is not only our safety, but it is their safety also. And it took little time for people to understand. So whenever our customers or our guests who are coming towards the after sales services or to the showrooms now, we try to inform them what is required. And sometimes people, we have seen some of the people who came and didn't care about the safety measures, but we've been very strict on it. Our security team is there to make sure that everybody who's coming in follows the rule. That is what we are trying to do. Then again, I mean, it's all the awareness, and we have to be very polite to the guests that this is the safety of everyone, not only them. And it takes little time. I think it will come to a point where everybody will be very careful. But at this moment, we have seen certain cases where people are a bit, I don't say a bit careless, but they have the concerns. So for that, we are there to help them out.
Right, Mr. Chandrasekhar, what about you? How difficult was it to put all the measures in place?
Well, it's not easy, in the sense that COVID-19 itself is basically a very rare thing which has hit the market. And people were initially having some sort of denial as to why us, why are we made to undergo such heavy rigors and so on and so forth. But then when they saw the cases going up and down, not down so much, more up, and then it is also going very rampantly in different parts of the geography, I think people realize that it is not as simple as it appears to be, and also with the vaccine not being readily available right now, and then when there is no sight as to when it is going to be available, then the concern is all the more. Hence, it also results in a lot of anxiety to the people. Because there is a study which has said more than the COVID-19, it's an anxiety which is really putting a lot of discomfort to the people. The lockdown and people's loss of livelihood and so on and so forth. So these are requiring a lot of psychological counseling. So hence for us, it was very, very tough in terms of telling the staff that, look, I think things will be normal in due course of time, but nobody really knows when. But then we need to sort of, tell them that sort of motivational address in terms of telling them that how things will become normal, what sort of steps the companies are taking, what sort of steps the management is trying to put it across to them, so how their own livelihood will not be so much affected as they apprehend that it will be affected. So then to a large extent, I would say the euphoria or the mass hysteria is not there, because one thing Oman should be really complimented is that down the level at all times, while the concern is heightened at all point of time, there is no sort of undue mass hysteria which is being created. People are very, very calm. That also speaks volume in terms of how do we address this particular situation. And at all point of time, people are pulling their resources together and trying to see how things can be addressed. They know there are no easy solutions to the problem that we are facing. But yes, if all of them are in it together, as I say, I think we can really find a better solution. We can really find a way out. At least we can find a way out to get some solace. That's what it is.
Mr. Ali Al Barwani?
Yes, I'm listening to you.
Okay, my question goes out to you, sir, now. What do you think would be the main concerns and worries of employees returning back to work? Those who are diagnosed with COVID and who are also, not diagnosed with COVID. What do you think would be the main concerns for them to return to work at this point of time?
I believe, first of all, most of the organization, the main focus remains to reduce the risk to their employees, as well families, contractors, and business activities. And I believe as well the very important factor is to provide induction to staff. It's so important now. We just moved from stay home to people go to the new norm or new normal activity, because businesses should go, and there is a requirement, or there is a kind of 50% of the staff for each organization to go back to work starting this week. So the first step, I would say, to give a proper induction even before they go in. This should happen before people even moving to the office. And this induction should be a mandatory. And should be as well, there's kind of, at the end of the induction, which is, of course, will explain to them how to go in, what they need to do, what is the organization, they're preparing the office, all the things that already been talking about it, and people, they know about it. They should as well make kind of a declaration. This is a declaration that the responsibility on staff, that every day he go to office, he need always to affirm that he is free from all the symptoms that known, like fever or cough or any kind of sign that could cause spread of COVID-19 virus. This is so important. Everyone to have his self observing his health around about his family, and anything that is not go within the instruction and within the induction that he received, then he need to report immediately. I think by this way, we will be able, all the staff, when they return to the work, will be able to protect themselves, their families, their colleagues, and the country as a whole.
Thank you, Mr. Ali Al Barwani. Mr. Chandrasekhar, talking about safety measures and precautions being taken at the companies now that employees are back to work, are there any penalties or any fines that is being imposed to the employers and employees if they do not follow the precautions and the safety measures?
See, penalties and fines, well, they look very interesting enough as a terminology. But then, see, one must understand one thing very clearly. People, most of the staff members, as a part of the entire population itself, have really undergone very severe lockdown situations. So as it is, their mind is very, very anxious in terms of what is going to be there, in terms of what the future going to be, whether they are going to stay in the job, whether they are going to lose the job, or whether they will continue to remain alive. Because see, people are in a situation, people think, oh, we will also sort of infected with COVID, whether we like it or not. You know, that sort of the fear which is really there. So I think it's important that the element of fines or the penalties and things like that has to be dealt with utmost discretion and caution. Because what happens is, by nature, everybody, because of the situation that they have faced, they are ready to sort of fall in line. I think we have never seen anybody not willing to accept any particular instruction which has been given to them for safety requirements. So, from our organizational point of view, I would say there is very near compliance. So, we haven't never seen any situation where people say, oh, why we should follow. The situation of not following or not ready to follow doesn't arise because people have realized the need that following these guidelines and requirements, or maybe whatever the safety guidelines, are a must not only for their safety, for the safety of everyone. So, with regard to your specific question about the penalties and fines, I think the best way to do it is what we say is we give them notices, reprimands, and warnings. The fines, if any, can be that if they still continue to flout it, the best way is to deduct their salaries. So, obviously, that will hit them below the belt in any case. So, we don't have to go to that level at all. People are by and large very compliant. So hence, I don't think it's of great concern at this point in time. Anyway, we have just commenced working just from yesterday, so it's too early in the days to really talk about all that. We'll have to see how things will go on, and as things unfold, and as people more and more try to understand what is around them, who is going to follow the guidelines that the government is trying to give them, what the company is going to tell them at their workplace level, people will definitely follow it. And I don't see why there should be any non-compliance in that particular area.
Right. Thank you, Mr. Chandrasekhar. Mr. Mohammed, any penalties, fines at your end?
I will continue the points which Mr. Chandrasekhar has given. At this point, we are not looking at the penalties, but we are looking at encouraging and motivating our employees for the safety concerns. It is very important to give them the awareness what all could happen, and apart from that, everybody have this fair feeling that the work has started, everything is opening up. There are more chances as the number have also grown, so there are more chances of fighting with this COVID is there. So people are following the instructions which are given by the company. Our HSC department is doing a great job, and they are actually looking over it. As we just opened our showroom, so it's too early to say that people are not taking care of it. Yes, it could be a point where negligency or carelessness will come to a punishment point, but we are trying to encourage and motivate our employees to adhere the or take all the precaution measures which have been given by the company. I think it is the later stage where we see a total carelessness of an employee after giving certain warnings could go to a penalty point of view, but I don't see it happening because everybody is really concerned about their health, not only their health but their family's health, their colleagues' health, and apart from that, important is the guests who are coming to the facilities. So everybody is concerned about it, and they are maximizing to make sure the instructions given to them, the safety measures given to them, are followed. And then again, the last option, as Mr. Chandrasekhar said, the penalty is the last option, which we don't see happening, as everybody is giving the awareness every day, meeting up every day. Plus our HSE department, they visit all the facilities, give the awareness. If anything is there, they will highlight it and make sure the concerned peoples are highlighted and they take the proper measure for it. And it's too early because we just started like 2-3 years back to come to a point and say that penalties will be there. I think it will take little time. If a person is not doing it, then the government is also putting up penalties. I think the company can take that route. Otherwise, people are making sure they themselves are safe, and they make sure that others are also safe.
Mr. Birwani, what do you think? Should the companies exercise penalties and fines for those who are not abiding by the rules and regulations issued by the Supreme Committee?
In my opinion, I think, as I said at the beginning, there's an induction. I think part of the induction, we need to educate our staff, and all company educate their staff, that there is a legal fines, which the Supreme Committee that is related and looking after the COVID-19 progress, they put it in place, and this is active. So I would say whatever the government has done, we need just to align with them. But as a company, they don't need, in fact, to create their own system. But they should take it very serious, because this is very serious. So for people who are happen, and we hope not, because this country, all people here quite, they are in, the reputation is everybody trying really to be going straight and be on line with the all regulations. So COVID-19 should not be an exception. Already the Supreme Committee, they put a number of fine. Example, then when you are in a crowded place, you need to put face mask. So it's not acceptable to ignore such instruction. This is for safety for other people. So if it happens that some people, they are in purpose, they don't care, then I think it should apply the Supreme Committee rules and fines, which is known. So I think companies, organization, what they need to do, they need to make sure educate their staff in their induction course or awareness, and always keep reminding them for people who are not taking care of precautions, they are responsible to really align this together with the instruction. If not, then there is fine as well being announced by the Supreme Committee from the government of the Sultanate of Oman. I think that would be more than enough to ensure everybody going on the same route, and this is responsibility. So we need really to align with this responsibility and be responsible.
Right. Thank you so much, Mr. Ali Al-Birwani. Mr. Chandrasekhar, we have heard that employees who are working from home are not paid as much as people who are coming to work. Do you think this is fair, that people who are working the same job, the salary has been deducted or is being deducted? Or what is the policy that you have practicing at your company?
See, the policy has to be very equitable and very fair. Just because an employee is not coming to the office due to lockdown conditions, not due to his own volition, see, there is a big difference. Let's take a classic example. If an employee stays in a suburb called Matra, the employee may be willing to come to the office.
Okay, I think all our callers are down, and we just are receiving updates from the Ministry of Health about the new cases in Sultanate, which will be updating you very shortly. Okay, so there is a latest update from the Ministry of Health. 576 new coronavirus cases has been registered in the Sultanate today. Out of those, 209 of our Omani nationals and 367 for non-Omanis. This brings the total cases of coronavirus registered in the Sultanate to 12,800. It also includes the recovery of 2,812 patients and registration of 59 deaths. This is the latest update from the Ministry of Health coming live right now. 576 new cases of coronavirus in the Sultanate today, taking the total number of coronavirus to 12,800, including the recovery of 2,812 patients and 59 deaths. Well, that comes to a wrap of our show for today. We'll be back again tomorrow, the same time, with more interesting guests and more updates your way. Stay tuned and keep watching TTV.